And in my initial Devar Torah for tonight, I was going to mention Lag BaOmer, but I think I'm going to just pass over what I was going to say about that. But it may come as a surprise to you that this week you missed a Jewish holiday, though it was not Lag BaOmer. The one I'm guessing you missed, as Judaism goes, is as ancient gets, all the way back to the time of Moshe and the Torah. You see that this past Monday, April the 26th, was the 14th day of Iyar, and it marked Pesach Sheni, the second Passover. If you missed it, I wouldn't worry about it. Actually, it's a holiday only for a small and pretty distinct number of people. Yet I think you will find its message extends well beyond its limited numbers. Among the Israelites wandering in the desert, there were those who, for some unavoidable reasons, were in a state of ritual impurity on the day of Pesach and were unable to perform the Passover sacrifice, the main requirement of those days. And so they became distraught at having missed it. And in response, Moshe and the Torah creates a new law and says any Israelite that was unable to celebrate Passover were given a second opportunity, a second Pesach, exactly 1 month later, which was this past Monday. It is, I think, an extraordinary concept, a holiday that seems to be all about mulligans and do-overs. These days, there's really nothing to do on Pesach Sheni other than finish off any matzah you might have in your cupboard. But the very concept that I want to highlight is to think about second chances, not just to celebrate a holiday, but throughout our lives. It's difficult, without a doubt, to give somebody a second chance. Maybe that's why we need a holiday. If you've been let down by somebody or you've been wronged directly or indirectly, to give a person a second chance, you have to dig deep. There is a concept in the Talmud called ma'avir midotav, which means to see past someone's flaws. It means we owe others second chances. I think there are two givens in the world that surface as a result of Pesach Sheni. First is human imperfection. None of us is without fault. As sure as I am that everyone at this service has been wronged by somebody, I am doubly sure that everyone, myself included, knows of a time when he or she has, knowingly or unknowingly, hurt someone else. And we can all benefit from second chances. The second given is that we human beings, we have to live in relationships with others. And so the math is pretty simple. If we are all imperfect and we all exist in relation to others, then it's not possible to go very far in our lives without encountering another person's faults and, of course, recognizing our own. There is a legend, I'm sure you've heard it before. Once upon a time, there was a king who ruled a small kingdom. It wasn't all that great of a kingdom, and it wasn't known for any of its resources. But the king owned a diamond, and it was great, and it was perfect, and it had been in the family for generations. People from all over the world came to admire it. But one day a guard came to the king with the news that although no one had touched the stone, it was cracked. The king ran to see, and sure enough, a crack down the middle. And so he summoned all of the jewelers for them to look. But they all said the diamond was irrevocably flawed. The king was crushed, and so were his subjects. But then out of nowhere came an older jeweler to ask to see the diamond. He looked at the king and said, I can not only fix it, I can make it better than before. And so the king gave him the diamond and said, you have a week to do it. A week later, the man appears, and it was magnificent. He used the crack that ran through the middle of the stone, and he carved a full-blown rose with leaves and thorns into the diamond. It was exquisite. The king was so overjoyed, he offered the man half his kingdom, but the man refused and said, all I did was to take something flawed and cracked at its heart and turned it into something beautiful. There is no life, there is no relationship without flaws. We all have shortcomings. Sometimes you can make a rose from a flaw. Sometimes you just have to let go of the diamond. And sometimes you discover that it is the very flaw that makes us who we are. And that is why we all need Pesach Sheni. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat